How Game of Thrones set the stage for that series' finale twist. This story contains spoilers for the series finale of HBO's Game of Thrones, They Who ended Game of Thrones on the Iron Throne. Nobody, as it, that's right, Bran Stark, played by Isaac Hempstead Wright, ends the series in charge of the Seven Kingdoms, Six Kingdoms, thanks to Sansa Stark's Sophie Turner withdrawing from the realm and becoming Queen of the North. Not a huge shock. Video Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 6 Preview. The Independent. Bran's solemn response. Why? Even though Bran's rise to power doesn't make the most sense at first glance, his ascension has roots in the very beginning of the series. In George Wright Rep, Bran's eventual rise as king also gives new meaning to his long ago fall from the towers of Winterfell. He was shattered. Gallery incredible stills from Game of Thrones Season 8 Picture Services. It's not the first scene between Bran and Tyrion, certainly. They first interact. Tyrion and Bran met again in the final season of the series, the two of them joining forces beside a fire before the Great War against the Night King Vladimir Furdik. The scene cuts short. Iv in the act of mythologizing Bran as Bran. For a time, there were theories positing Bran's potential turn to the dark side, before his benevolence as the Three-Eyed Raven was well and truly known. Back in those days, come. For those who have. Gallery. If you loved Game of Thrones, you'll probably enjoy these 27 shows too. Insider. MSN UK are empowering happiness for Mental Health Awareness Month. Find out more.
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.